Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, the Disneyland Railroad is coming back. A new dining location is open. A higher price lightning lane is coming.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure is open to magic key holders. We have a preview. A new photo op in Disneyland. We talked to Scott about Nurses Day in the park and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Greetings aboard the DL Weekly Orbiter. For your safety, intergalactic regulations require that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast. And please, watch your children. To make Tag and Teresa fly higher, pull back on the control lever in front of you. To descend, just push the control lever forward. Thank you. Please enjoy your spaceflight.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of October 23rd, 2024. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tag Bushman. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show, but this week we would like to give a special shout out to Eric S. for becoming a new weekly tier, and Peggy F., Olivia S., and Sammy B. for continuing your support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only chat, and a bunch of other perks, like our upcoming ornament exchange, which we'll talk about a little bit later, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
This Friday, October 25th, the Disneyland Railroad will carry guests around the park on a Grand Circle tour once again. The track and ballast, the rocky part under the track, was replaced from Toontown Depot to the Tomorrowland Station.
This seemed to come out of nowhere. I saw on social media this week that Fresh Baked had posted that they were running trains on it, and I swear the last time I saw photographic proof of the track, they were still like putting it down. Yeah. So they got this done quick.
They made quick work of this.
Also, I went back and I saw in a previous article, because I was trying to do some research about I was trying to find if anybody put like where like the construction was from, like what part of the track they were doing, because I wanted to make sure I was accurate with that. And I was finding all the ones of when they announced in August that it was closed. It was originally not supposed to open until November 15th, so it's going to open a lot earlier.
Wow, that's usually not the case. I feel like usually, right, they're pushing back the reopening dates when they're doing maintenance on stuff, so that's awesome that they were able to do it so quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, enter Pixie Hollow as an example, because they've pushed that back twice now.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be open like the middle of this month, and then it was the end of this month, and now it's the middle of November. So I don't know what's going on there. I know, again, David from Fresh Baked, I know he's very excited to hope that the water show comes back there, but he doesn't think it's going to happen. But he's hoping.
It'd be cool.
It was cool. It was cool. Another location is returning on Friday. The Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree will be offering their new menu of barbecue dishes. The updated location is themed to the Country Bears and their travels around the great music halls of the United States.
I am ridiculously excited to try this the next time we're back at the parks. It's one of those things that I feel like it's unique. There's not been a barbecue specific location since Big Thunder Ranch Barbecue. So that's pre-Galaxy's Edge we're talking here. So I don't know. The menu looks delicious. I'm really excited to try things.
I'm very excited for all the barbecue fan people. I'm just not a huge barbecue person. Like, I'm not a rib. You know me. I don't like.
Yeah.
This happened this weekend. We were going to this pumpkin thing, and I was eating something that was like really messy on my hands, and I was freaking out. But I'm looking at this.
You could eat this not messily.
I could, but I think what I'm going to do when we go there is I'm going to have the corn ribs.
I'm excited about
because that seems like it would be good, and then also some of their dessert stuff, like the funnel cake fries, look really good.
I'm all about that banana pudding. That looks delightful,
good. And of course, all the non-alcoholic beverages that I'm sure you'd want to try.
Are you going to try this sparkling
lemonade?
Strawberry pickle lemonade?
No. But I might try the strawberry shortcake lemonade. I don't really like lemonade, but I'm thinking that maybe they just call it a lemonade and it won't be very tart like a lemonade.
I don't know. The first ingredient does say lemonade, so we'll see.
But I've had other things in the park that have lemonade and it's not too lemonade-y for me. So I don't know. I think it'll be a good spot. I hope that this reinvigorates this dining location, because there is so much seating and stuff there that, you know, it's good that it's coming back. Also, it's nice to kind of have the Hungry Bears, not Hungry Bears, the Country Bears.
I mean, they are Hungry Bears. But
they are. In Bayou Country.
In Bayou Country, exactly. Well, starting today, a new Lightning Lane experience will debut at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. The Lightning Lane Premier Pass will allow guests one-time entry to each Lightning Lane experience without the need to book a return time in the Disneyland app or having to buy the Lightning Lane Single Pass. So that would be like Rise of the Resistance and Radiator Springs currently at the Disneyland Resort. This, of course, comes with a downside. The Premier Pass will cost somewhere between $300 to $400 per guest per day. I have seen online, too, that this first introductory period will be $400.
Yeah.
You won't see the $300 price point until perhaps next year. So, yes, the only change is that something is being added. At this point, nothing is being taken away. We're just adding another layer or level to the Lightning Lane choices in the system, if you will.
So I watched a video today from Mickey Views, who was looking at this through the lens of Disney World, of course. And I was surprised because I thought that the pricing would be very similar at both coasts.
It's not.
But in Walt Disney World, you could get a Lightning Lane, like this Premier Pass Lightning Lane, for as little as somewhere in the $100 to $200 range was the low end of things. And it depended on the park and all of that stuff. So a little bit more complicated, I think, out in Disney World.
Well, and the other thing, too, is think about Disney World.
$129.
I feel like you couldn't have it be a higher set price point because think of how many attractions per park they have at Walt Disney World and how not easy it is to park hop there. If you had it at that higher price point, it'd be a really terrible value.
Yeah. He also said, the reason I clicked on it was because the title of this video was talking about how he agrees and thinks of this like you do, which is he thinks this is the first step to what we currently have as multi-pass and single pass going away and this becoming the option.
That's the only way for me that this makes sense. If I were in charge of the Disney universe, if I was the Grand Vizier, I don't know.
Sure.
That's what I would have done with this program originally, was have it at a higher price point so that the people that are purchasing it have like little to no wait because there's just not many people in the Lightning Lane, which then also in turn makes the standby queues flow very nicely. So my hope beyond hope for this announcement is that this is, phase one, and that eventually the multi-pass will go away. I don't know if the individual Lightning Lanes will go away, and I'm okay if the individual Lightning Lanes stay, because I feel like they don't clog up the standby line quite as...
Sure.
Well, take that back. I'm thinking about Radiator Springs Racers.
Rise moves.
Yeah, Rise moves. Racers can get a little...
But that's because Racers is like always a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think that it makes sense that way. The other way I think this makes sense is we'll talk about this kind of a little bit with Scott in probably it won't be until next week's episode. But we were talking about this change with him and how frequently you're seeing VIP tours going through the park. On any given time that we're in the park, I'm not even consciously trying to look for VIP tour groups, but I notice easily a dozen to 20 probably each day that we're in the park. And those are not cheap. The lowest tier of a tour is like, what, about $4,000?
Something like that.
So if you max out your tour group, then it makes sense fiscally. But financially, this would be the better way to go for your group if all you're doing is you're booking a VIP tour to kind of get that quote unquote front of the line access. There are way more other benefits to booking a VIP tour that this doesn't include. But if your focus is just, I want to get on as many rides as I can with as short of wait times as I can, then I could see this kind of being something that looks intriguing and looks like a good thing to do for those people. I don't think a lot of people are buying this, though, really.
One thing that Braden on Mickey Views brought up that I was like, oh, we hadn't talked about this. Maybe we had subconsciously considered this, is this does not make sense if you still have the multi-pass and the single pass, because Disney's saying that the difference between a $30 to $40 per person per day Lightning Lane multi-experience pass and this is you don't have to use your phone.
Yeah.
That is not worth that money. Well, because he's saying you pay $400 for this, and then you still have to wait in the sometimes really long Lightning Lane return line.
Yeah.
You're not skipping that. So he said this doesn't make any sense, because why would you pay that much extra just to take the phone out of the equation? Because literally that's all you're doing.
But then again, that's why I use VIP tours as another talking point with it. If you're a person that isn't, which it is, learning the Disneyland language is kind of like learning a new language. If you're not somebody that wants to do all of that, put in all the time and effort to like figure out how everything works and make sure you're doing it all correctly, and so you're just like, you know what? I have money to do what I want. You book the VIP tour, so you don't have to think about those things. Well, it doesn't matter with this high price point.
Yeah.
Time will tell. My big hope is this is phase 1, and that the $30 to $40 current version is going to be phased out. That could just be pie in the sky, me wishful thinking. I know there's a lot of people that really, really love and use Lightning Lane every single time they're in the parks. Even there are people, there's folks like us that are there frequently enough that don't necessarily need Lightning Lane, but they really love the service and they get it every time. I'm not that person. Tag is not that person.
Oh, definitely not.
But I think overall the system's not working as it currently is. I don't think it's a good guest experience for the people in the Lightning Lane, nor do I think it's a good guest experience for everyone that still paid their daily entrance fee. You still paid, $200 just to get in the park, and we're seeing wait times that are crazy. So it's not a good guest experience for either of those groups. Whereas if you raise the price point, it'll be better for both.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the arguments he made too, which I'm like, this has to be where this is going. I'm still confused. And I know, again, when we talk to Scott later on, like next week, we kind of brought this up, which is it better to kind of do this in stages, right? Of like, okay, we're going to add this and then we're going to get rid of the other. Like, I would have thought just rip the Band-Aid off and do both.
Yeah,
but then people would be like, then the news story would be, you're taking away a $30 thing and making a $400 thing.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Or you turn the $30 thing into the $400 thing. The other thing, too, that I'll just quickly mention, because, again, timing-wise of when we talked about this, or when you're going to hear our conversation with Scott, he had made a good point that, is this maybe if they don't phase out multi-pass Lightning Lane, that is the current $30 to $40 service, is this just like almost a marketing strategy to make the guests feel like, well, that $30 to $40 per person per day is not that bad of a deal when the alternative is the $300 to $400 per day thing.
Yeah.
Which, who knows? That could be a thing too.
I'm sure
time will tell.
I'm sure they've got some strategy for it. We just don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first guests experienced Tiana's Bayou Adventure on Monday. Magic Key Holder previews began, and we got our first glimpse into what the Disneyland version of the attraction is like. Key holders needed to join a virtual queue to ride, but those that were successful were able to be among the first in the attraction. The Disneyland version is much better paced than the Magic Kingdom version, in our opinion, with a lot of animatronics and almost no slowdown of the story or show scenes. Visit the link in our show notes if you want to see the first ride-through, and when we mean first ride-through, Dusty Sage over at MiceChat somehow literally was the first key holder on the first boat. And he has a video of it.
I don't know. The Disney gods were smiling down upon him because he not only got group number 1, but he was also the first person in line. So he was like and then sat in the first row. He should have bought like a lotto ticket or something that day. Luck was on his side. But I'll be real quick because I think you need to see this to believe it if you're somebody that wants to watch the ride through before experiencing it. I was very hesitant watching the Walt Disney World versions, and I was like, I don't get it. There's a lot of blank space. The storyline feels weird. I wasn't buying into it, and I was just kind of trying to keep the open mind of, once I get on it myself and experience it, it's always going to be different when you're in it versus when you're watching a YouTube video. I totally understand that. So, but there was even kind of news reports from people who had ridden it that were a little like, I don't know. Fast forward to this week with the Magic Key Holder previews. I know it's the same ride in my brain. It does not look and feel like it's the same thing as what Walt Disney World has. Tag said this, it's like Pirates. Disneyland got the better version of this attraction than Walt Disney World. There is just something about the pacing of the storyline in this. It flows together nicely. There's even things that, I don't know, I'm sure they can control it because Imagineers are wizards. But when you go through the final scene in the Disneyland version, your boat's like a very slow, relaxed pace, and you can take it all in. The videos that I was seeing of Walt Disney World, it felt like you went through that last big final finale scene much faster, and it was harder to kind of take in all of the different details and all the different things going on. There's just so many pluses to this. I'm even more excited to be able to experience it in person.
Yeah, I have a question for you, though. You are usually the person who won't watch a ride-through video. What's different about this attraction that you were like, well, I can watch a ride-through video? Because usually you're like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I think it's because there had been so much buildup from Disney. There was a lot of behind-the-scenes sneak peek stuff, so I'd already kind of been spoiled, I guess. Obviously, I didn't know where all of these different pieces were going to fall into place for the attraction, but I think Disney was doing a good job with their marketing and kind of showing off behind the scenes sneak peeks of things like the films and the process of going down to New Orleans and how they were kind of the creative process of it. And then, of course, when they were showcasing all of the animatronics, it just kind of kept me thinking like, ooh, and then they were introducing all the different characters on the Disney Parks blog. So they were piquing my interest for quite some time. So then it was nice to now I got to see what the final piece of this, what the full puzzle looks like now, since you've been seeing all these pieces.
I will say my favorite thing has, and usually I'm not big on this, but for somebody who can't be there for opening of these things and want to see it like first without having to wait for someone to take a high quality video and post it online, it is great. If you ever want to see the first day of something, literally go on YouTube and just type in like the name of the attraction and like Disneyland Live, and there's always live streamers, and you can always go back in their stream and like find it. So the first video of this that I watched was from somebody who was there. And then by the time we recorded our interview last night, SnackChat had posted their high quality version through. So it was nice to be able to get kind of like it wasn't the best quality, but like I could see what the attraction was like, and then to see a good quality. So if you're like me and can't wait to see it, you want to spoil yourself, anytime Disney does something new, that's a great way to do it. I found that that's been very helpful lately. I know some people don't want more streaming people holding up their phones and stuff, so I can understand that too. But I'm excited for this one. I do feel like there's still a couple things to work out. We noticed some things. I'm not going to get into details, but there's some things in the attraction that we both kind of noticed that like still didn't seem like 100% yet. There was like some tarps up in one part of it, like on the outside, like nothing that affects the attraction.
Yeah.
There's still no water going down the mountain, which is kind of interesting. I feel like, I don't know if that's going to come back because it hasn't been on since they've done any of this. So I don't know if that's coming down the road or that is just not part of the attraction anymore. I'm just not sure, but it's really cool. They also, SnackChat had a picture of Ray's Berets. It's not open yet, but they did have like a ground level shot of that, and that store looks
and
good too.
The sign is already there. It's another beautifully carved wooden sign with all sorts of hats kind of all over the place, which makes sense.
Yeah, I was laughing because I watched David's from Fresh Bake's construction video this week, and he zoomed in and was like, do you think they're going to sell all these different type of hats? They've got like a bowler hat and a top hat and a
Wouldn't that be cool if it was like a proper hat shop and not just hey, here's a bunch of ears and like Disney hats? That'd be really cool, actually. If
Vern would have been happy because he was trying to find a little thing like that at one point.
Adventureland has some nice like non-baseball cap or ears headwear things there. My mom actually bought a really great sun hat there during our wedding, and that my grandma then used while we were enjoying the parks. I know my dad had actually bought some hat that he like wore all the time when he was out in the woods and stuff.
That's awesome.
It was kind of like an adventure, like it felt like an adventurer's kind of hat. But yeah, they're more non-theme park hats, if that makes sense.
But overall, I say all the stuff we were worried about, I don't think we have to worry about it.
No.
It looks great.
Well, we have an explanation for the holidays that have been creeping in on the Halloween festivities at Disneyland. In the last couple of weeks, snow has been appearing on the Sleeping Beauty castle way before the end of Halloween, and also way before the official start to the winter holiday time at the resort. Well, we found out why this past week. Performances for the upcoming holiday specials were filmed, which of course needed the decorations adorning the castle. John Legend was in the park on Friday to record his segment. It looked like he was recording right in front of the castle too.
Yeah. This now makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm still not happy about it.
No, I kind of wish that because this is supposedly for the Christmas Day special they have. I feel like within a month and a week or two, because it airs on Christmas Day, that like they could film this closer to the beginning of the holiday time, like the 15th or whatever, and do it, or even in that week, but a couple weeks between, before it officially kicks off. They could have done this then.
One thing we were joking, though, was the snow actually seemed to go up really fast, like quicker than it normally takes for them to put the snow on. I don't think it's not fully done because they don't have all of the icicles hanging and like the tops are not all there. It's not 100%, but they put that snow on quick for this. Like, so we were joking in our Discord chat with our weekly tiers. One of them said like, well, we now know how long it takes, when they're in a pinch, how long it takes to actually put the snow on the castle. It was like 2 days or something. It was really fast.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to damage the castle, so I understand you want to take your time with it. But yeah, like I said, I kind of wish that they would just let Halloween get done with before they start doing stuff. And I understand that this was maybe a special circumstance, but come on. I'm
still going to die on this hill. If they need to put the snow on the castle pre-Halloween, that's fine, but you need to tie it back into Halloween somehow, and you have the perfect franchise to do so, The Nightmare Before Christmas. If they put Santa Jack Skellington in his sleigh, like, on the castle somehow, or maybe, like, in front of the castle, somewhere. If they incorporated a Santa Jack Skellington and his sleigh, or maybe just his sleigh and the bone reindeer, that would make it fit back in with the Halloween holiday and not make it feel like Christmas is looming in the background.
Yeah. Well, and even us living in the Midwest, like it's not snowed here. Like,
no, it's been in the 70s, actually.
Yeah, so don't do that. Well, there is another fun photo opportunity available for guests back in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. For $39.99, guests get a photo shoot up to 9 poses in a themed area with special lighting and props to enhance the photos. 2 6x8 prints and 4 wallet-size prints are included and can have up to 2 people in the photo at a time.
So this was interesting. Dusty from Mice Chat actually did this, and there was something in here that said that he did, he this is a photo of Dusty having his photo taken. He didn't end up buying his photos, though. So I wonder if you can have the photos taken and then you can choose if you want to purchase the package. If maybe the package is for the prints or the photos, or maybe they were just being nice and let Dusty do the experience. And maybe typically you do have to pay ahead.
That's a great question.
But I did notice that in the article, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think for 2 6x8 and 4 wallet size, I mean, considering how much it costs to get like an attraction photo if you don't have PhotoPass or whatever, that seems like, in line with that if that's something you want to do. And obviously, the PhotoPass photographers are usually pretty good. They're adding a little bit of theming and stuff here. Okay. What I think would be cooler, I don't think they would do this because, or maybe, this could actually sell some more lightsabers too, is they should have like props that you could wear. Like they should have a cloak and a lightsaber. And like, if they did that, like the old timey photo booth kind of places. But if they did that in Star Wars where they had like a selection of clothes you could wear, like I could dress as a Sith and get photos taken.
That's fun.
I would pay for that. I would pay more than $40 for that because all of that stuff is really expensive. Yeah. And like, I thought, especially like Star Wars night, like there were times where I've wanted to like dress up as Star Wars stuff that I think would be kind of fun. But I also realized that I'm not going to pay $90 for a cloak that I'm probably only going to wear that one time I'm in the park. Mm-hmm. So if they wanted to have this kind of an idea, but have some like options that you could wear and like get to, like, I think that would be really cool. Maybe make it a part magic shot too. That'd be awesome.
We could go even further and you could have like an adult's version of the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and you could have your own like Star Wars makeover.
As many Disney adults there are, how has this not been a thing?
I don't know. Maybe it's on the horizon.
Disney, we have some more money printing machines if you just want to do it. I'm just saying. That would be cool. I also thought it would be cool because we know it's possible that you can, like, there is the ability for humans to get into the Millennium Falcon cockpit.
Yeah.
That would be a cool photo op that, like, is only through,
or
like,
just
PhotoPass.
an experience, kind of like you get to visit, like how Walt's apartment or the Lily Bell are kind of included in different tours. You could have some sort of Star Wars themed tour that allows you to go in the cockpit. Ooh, that'd be cool.
They have a lot of options here. I'm telling you, it's
That'd
pretty
be cool. Well, weekly tiers don't have to go into the parks to have some Halloween fun. The Disneyland Hotel has a lot of activities for the season to keep people busy. Pumpkin carving and decorating, musical performances of the Ghoulish Gals are all happening. For dates and times, visit the link in our show notes.
So I love the fact that the Ghoulish Gals, and they're playing, I thought this, at the Disneyland Hotel, this display showed up when the Haunted Mansion like had the 50th anniversary. I think was the first time it was there, and they just keep doing it. Why not? For those of you who don't know, this is right when you walk in the Fantasy Tower from the
parking lot,
the main parking lot for the Disneyland Hotel, and that's a cool spot that they're there dancing, and then of course having the different stuff with decorating.
We were doing something. We were doing some sort of live stream. One of the times we were there, I couldn't even tell you what the holiday season was, if it was Halloween time or if it was actually like winter holiday season time. But we walked into the Disneyland Hotel because we were checking something out, and in that exact spot was another a cappella group, and they were crazy good. I don't think it was the same group, but amazing. The sound in that little lobby space there was awesome, and there's plenty of room that you can kind of stand if you want to, watch the show, but you could hear them even if you're sitting in like the lobby where they have the teacup chairs and all that fun stuff. But I just love that they are bringing these sorts of activities to the hotels, and that there are things that there's things that are just available for hotel guests, but not everything's available just for the hotel guests. So this would be one of the things that's not hotel guests. Oh, it looks like it was like the wintertime holidays that we were over there. We must have been checking out like the decorations.
Yeah. So if you go back to our live stream that we had, it's public it's just called DL Weekly Stream, but it was on December 17th, 2023. They were in front of that same wall, but it was done for Christmas time.
Yeah. It was really cool. Really, really cool.
I love how quickly I was able to pull that up.
That was
technology.
Good.
Well, guests watching Fantasmic have been getting a much different show recently. The Cos Snake in the Jungle Book sequence has been missing for over a week. Maleficent hasn't been growing in the climactic battle, and much less pyro is being used throughout the show. I watched a video clip that SnackChat had of this, and I was very, very sad.
This is breaking my heart. Like it was bad enough that we had the tragedy with Murphy last year. Has it only been a year? Yeah, last year. And the fact that now other elements of the show are kind of either being intentionally not refurbed or taken out, or maybe there's just something going on, like with Ka. Maybe there's something going on with the larger than life Ka puppet.
Year and a half.
A year and a half. Okay. So maybe there's something going on with the larger than life Ka puppet, and it's just like a quick little refurb and Ka will be back. But like the fact that Maleficent, our B mode's not even, or C mode, I guess B mode with the dragon was the water screen. So maybe we'll call this C mode. Like that was the only kind of like climactic part, was that she grew and what we're saying, if you guys haven't seen the version minus the dragon, is Maleficent kind of like rises up from the ground on this like vine tower battling Mickey, instead of it being the giant dragon there. So the fact that she's just on the ground kind of chasing Mickey around and fighting that way, that's not as climactic.
Yeah. This video that I saw that SnackChat posted about the pyrotechnics too, from what I can see, there's absolutely no pyrotechnics coming from the little barges that are in the water. So I'm wondering if there's an issue with like maybe just this performance or some of the... Sure. Because the last time I saw Fantasmic, some of the stuff in the barges didn't go off either. So I'm wondering if there's like an issue with...
Sure.
The barges on these nights, because all the pyrotechnics that are not on the barges are going just fine, but there's no pyrotechnics going that are part of the barge in the front.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I just hope this doesn't mean that Fantasmic isn't a priority anymore, and that maybe Fantasmic, dare I say, eventually will cease to exist at Disneyland, because I feel like it's such an iconic show, and it would be a huge deal if it went away from Disneyland. I feel like it can't. Like, there's no way, right? There's no way. I realize when they first introduced Fantasmic, it was supposed to be a more temporary show. It wasn't they didn't create it to last as long as it has lasted, but it's been so popular with guests year and year and year over that I just can't imagine them not having it.
Well, the good news is, so I just pulled up this one from last night's show.
Oh, good. Maleficent's
and
working.
Maleficent is rising, so now I'm going to skip towards the end and want to see if there is pyrotechnics going.
So maybe they're just having some issues and intermittent issues that is causing this to not be as solid.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I hope they get ironed out and everything fixed so it can be back to as best as it can be. Sans Dragon, because still the dragon's amazing.
It's just the front. So the two sides pyrotechnics was going off last night, but the front pyrotechnics are not going off. So I think that it's not. I think they're just having some issues, and for whatever reason, it's just not working how it needs to work.
What about Ka?
If this was recorded yesterday, Ka was working. So I'm not sure.
If you are in the parks, we would love to know what the state of Fantasmic is, since we can't go and do the research ourselves. We would love to know, but there has been some concerns that maybe not everything is working and things are, that really breaks my heart. I really hope that it was just a hiccup and a fluke and everything's going back to normal. Again, Sans Dragon. Well, the Lego store in downtown Disney is closed for refurbishment, but that doesn't mean there isn't some fun to still be had. On October 26th and Saturday, November 2nd, the Lego store is hosting a make-and-take castle build activity. Participants will build a small Lego creation that they will be able to keep. The event will happen outside the closed store location.
So I originally wrote this that it would look like that you would build like a little mini castle. But then when I was reading the information I found on a couple other places, also at the place we linked in the show notes, it looks like they are making different Lego creations for each date. And the first one that's available after we've talked about this is actually, there was like 2 other events, and one of those was a castle one. So
they've done this a couple of times, because one of the times that we were down there, it may have been the most recent trip that we were there for, D23, I saw this advertised, and it was a tiny little Lego. It looks more like Cinderella's castle than it does Sleeping Beauty's castle. But hey, we're not gonna get too upset about which castle it is. I still think it's a cool, fun little activity. But yeah, they had that when we were there recently, and I was like, what a fun thing to do. So that's cool that they're doing it again, and that it's not just the one little creation you can create. You can go and do other things as well.
Yeah. And it's cool that there's still some Lego stuff to happen, even though the store is closed.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to see what they do with the renovation of the store itself as well. Hopefully they'll get some TLC for the outside Lego creations.
Right here. Build a Lego Halloween spider and take it home with you. This is for October 27th from noon to 2 p.m. How fun is that?
Is
not Disney themed.
Disney one?
I said I was at the downtown cool. Disney one, so yeah.
Sweet.
Cute. Very, very cute.
Well, we talked about the renaming of the lounge at the Disneyland Hotel to the Broken Spell Lounge. The Disney Eats Instagram page made the name official with an opening date of October 21st. The lounge will be open daily starting at 4 p.m.
Okay, so we only saw little pieces of the updated lounge. It gets better. I thought it was gorgeous just on the little sneak peeks we saw, but that photo you're looking at right now, Tag, it's
linked in
this
the show notes.
Deep blue velvet couch with these chairs in different greens. They look like super cozy, but look at the wall behind them. It's like you've been transported into the woods of that Sleeping Beauty is in, that Aurora grows up in. It's just gorgeous. I love the colors. I love the designs. I need them to come do this like in my house somewhere or something. Jeez. It's so good. So good. You know what this lounge reminds me of? It reminds me of what the Disney lounges are like on cruise ships.
Oh, that's true.
How immersive and how themed it is. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Plus, there's food and drinks. We might have to check this out sometime.
It's neat looking.
Tags unimpressed.
Well, we covered it before, and it's a small location, and like I don't find myself wanting to like hang out in a lounge, but like it's cool. I think the people will enjoy seeing the photo of it for sure.
I up, down, touch the ground. I think of things to chew, like honey and milk and chocolate. With a hefty, happy appetite, I'm a hefty, happy poo. A rumbly in my tumbly means it's time for snacks.
Well, this week for Snack Chat, we are again covering more than one location. We are covering the 2 locations that are back in Toontown. The first one we're going to talk about is Cafe Daisy, which has the infamous, I will call it, pizza flopovers, which are amazing. Anyway, what do they have there?
So fun. Cafe Daisy, lots of delicious things. So we've got hot dogs there. There's the Daisy's dressed up dog, which is an all-beef foot-long hot dog, chili cheese sauce, mac and cheese, and Parmesan potato crisps served with house-made chips, as well as the Daisy dog, which is just the all-beef foot-long hot dog with house-made chips. I feel like you need to try the dressed up dog because you used to love Pluto's Doghouse hot dogs. Come on, the dressed up hot dog has mac and cheese on it.
I don't really care that much about the mac and cheese. I will say the Parmesan potato crispy sounds like it would be really good. I can't speak highly enough of the pizza flopovers. They come in 2 varieties, a cheesy and a pepperoni, and they're mozzarella and provolone with tomato sauce. I will say they do give these to you in such a way that it seems like you can just walk around and eat it, but you should definitely sit and eat this. They're very, very good. We've both had them, and also not a bad price, and I felt full afterwards, so It was very, very good.
Plant-based options here are the spring garden wrap. This actually sounds really delicious. Romaine and quinoa wrap with creamy lemon dressing and toasted pumpkin seeds with house-made chips.
They have a Toontown Tater Crisps, which is house-made potato chips with chili cheese sauce.
Yep.
That's interesting. I didn't even know they had that. For the kids' meal, you can get a Cheese Please pizza. So this is not a flop over thing. You can get a cheese one, a pepperoni one, and of course, mini corn dogs.
They do have some specialty beverages here. There's the Picnic Time Watermelon Lemonade, which is made with Minute Maid Zero Sugar Lemonade with watermelon premium syrup and watermelon gummies. There's also Granny Goof's Garden Sweet Tea, Gold Peak Sweet Iced Tea with honey, mango premium syrup, and mango flavored filled spheres.
Did I have this?
We have had both of these.
Okay.
And I really enjoy both of them. You like you go for the tea.
Yeah. Yeah. The teas that they've had with the spheres in both parks have been very good. Also, Daisy's Goody Goody Donuts, which we haven't had. I don't know why, but they're house-made mini apple cider donuts with spiced apple sugar.
They're seasonal right now.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, that I want to mention for my fellow cold brew fans, there is a cold brew offering there. Currently, it's the caramel apple cold brew, which is cold brew coffee with apple and caramel syrups, whipped topping, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. Typically, so that's a seasonal offering, that caramel apple cold brew. Typically, though, they have the cold brew back there, and that one I have tried. It looks like they've updated it a couple of times. There's one that they had that had a toasted coconut on the top. I have not tried that one. But I feel like the cold brew that I had was like a mocha, mocha mudslide was either the coffee flavor, the Joffrey's coffee flavor or something. But it was good. I wouldn't say it was like my go-to, need to have it all the time. But I'm like very intrigued that apparently I didn't realize that they rotated their cold brews and were swapping them out. I thought it was always the same one. So I'm going to have to keep my eye on that.
Well, there you go. The other location is Good Boy Grocers, which is right next door to Cafe Daisy. And the big deal here is the perfect picnic basket.
Oh,
what does that entail, Teresa?
So you get to choose 3 food items plus a beverage. So the food items could be Cuties mandarin oranges, mini Baybel snack cheeses, seedless grapes, applesauce, yogurt smoothie, goldfish, whole grain crackers, dried fruit mix. There's also gluten allergy friendly fig bar, granola bars, and then the drink options are Minute Maid juice boxes and small Dasani bottled water.
But it comes in this cute picnic basket.
It is a very cute picnic basket. And then there's also just like grab and go snacks here. So you can get things like bananas, the
Pickle.
Cuties mandarin oranges, the little snack cheeses. There's gluten allergy friendly cookies, a green apple, fruit bar. And then for beverages, this is the other thing too, is they always have these cute little sippers, and they have all sorts of different frozen slushies that you can grab at this location as well.
Yeah. So if you're in Toontown, these are the two locations you got.
And I will say, I was not a fan of the dining options in Toontown pre the revamp, recent revamp. I really feel that Cafe Daisy is like, we find ourselves back there grabbing food way often. The only time I used to dine in Toontown was because we were back there and I was starving and I didn't want to have to go. Like, it was convenience over anything. I never went out of my way to dine in Toontown. You were different because you really enjoyed Pluto's hot dogs, but yeah,
Pluto's Doghouse. Yep.
It wasn't for me before, but now I've been converted.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely the flopovers, the thing, and
they're
then
quick
some of
and
the different
easy.
drinks.
And the other thing too is they're open late too, so that's kind of nice. So if you want kind of like a later evening, late night snack or meal, you can pop back there and get them as well. Calling all weekly tiers, we are once again doing our supporter holiday ornament exchange. If you are a supporter, head on into the Discord chat and sign up to join in on the fun. Each participating weekly tier will get anonymously paired with another weekly tier, and ornaments are exchanged. We have a Zoom call where we all open them together to see the joy of a fun experience on everyone's face. If this sounds like fun to you, it isn't too late. Sign up at dlweekly.net/support and head into the Discord to get all the details.
This is obviously, this episode is posting on October 23rd. We plan on having the sign up open shortly after Halloween because we are giving Halloween. It's time.
We are.
But I just wanted to put this out there because it is coming up soon.
Yes.
Sign-ups will be at the beginning of November, and then the Zoom call should be right in the beginning of December so people have enough time to select ornaments and send them out. And then as the holidays come up, it gets busy for everyone, so we want to have it early, like not so close to Christmas.
The other thing, too, that I'd like to mention is if you're unable or just, maybe the group Zoom call isn't your thing, it is not required that you join that Zoom call to be a part of the ornament exchange. It's very fun, but again, not a requirement. So if you've got other plans, because like Tag mentioned, we understand December can be a very busy month, or maybe you're just shy and that's not your thing. That's totally okay too. We still want to welcome you and let you know that this is available and open for everyone.
But I highly encourage, if you're hesitant, it's a great group of people, and there are people that we only see during the ornament exchange.
You could join and have your camera off if you're more comfortable that way. You do whatever you're comfortable with. This is all just for fun.
Yeah. And the ornament exchange, if you're worried about like pricing and stuff like that, I think, what is it, $20 limit for the ornaments?
It's either 20 or 25, yeah.
So it's not something that has to be crazy. We do have some folks that like to add a little extra magic to the boxes and stuff, but that is not a requirement at any level. So it is a fun thing. I look forward to this every year because it's always such a great time. And Teresa is going to eventually need like a third Christmas tree because she has her regular Christmas tree. She has her Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween kind of thing. Christmas
My
tree.
Nightmare Before Christmas / Haunted Mansion tree.
Yeah. And you're going to have another one soon.
Yeah, I did not buy a big enough Haunted Mansion / Nightmare Before Christmas tree. I learned that last year after I just bought the tree last year, and then we put all the ornaments on it, and I went, ooh, should have got a bigger tree.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's all fun.
DL Weekly announces the boarding of the Trivia Express, non-stop star speeder service to the moon of Endor. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we've got 5 total listener-submitted questions, 4 regular round, and a bonus question ready for you. Are you ready for the questions?
I'm concerned because you said you were having trouble verifying some of these, which means that they're harder questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were hard for me, and they were hard for Google, which usually means they're going to be easy for you.
Okay.
So let's see how you do. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Paige N.
Well, that's a new one.
According to the Disney food blog, how many different adventures are there on Star Tours?
Oh.
Oh, gosh. Is this now? I have a clarifying question. Is this like how many different scenes or how many combinations?
Combinations.
Oh, Jesus. Like 20,000 or some ridiculous number like that?
I was going to go lower. I was going to say like 10, 12. I'll say 11. I'm going to split the difference and say there's 11,000.
11,000. I was
like 11. There's only 11. Sometimes I feel like there's one because I get the same one. Like the last time we went. It does seem like
some are more common than others.
The last time we went, like each time we went on the attraction, which was a couple times that trip, it was the same. Like everything was the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are the odds of getting the same one since there's so many different possibilities?
I also don't like it when you go on and like, let's say there's 4 or 5 different places where it could be different. And like 4 of them are the same as your last time, and you only get one different, and it's like, oh, come on.
Are you sticking with 20, or what are you thinking?
Let's see. Yeah, I'll stick with 20,000.
Okay.
We're probably way high, I feel like. Maybe.
That's okay. Infinite.
Right.
There are infinite possibilities.
Oh my gosh.
So that's 20,000 and 11,000?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Does that seem in the ballpark, Bert?
You're giving them a lot of credit for a lot of possibilities.
Dang, well, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about like how there's different like
maybe we need to chop a 0 off.
Bad guy characters in the beginning that you might see, and
That's
there's
true.
different like
not to
people
mention
that
the
you
different
might intercept.
holograms now.
Yes. The different holograms plus locations.
Yeah. Unrelated, or sort of related, do you think they'll ever have, like, you know how, like, we bring back Soarin' Over California sometimes? Do you think they'll ever bring back the original Star Tours video?
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe for, like, one of its big anniversary times or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we got it. He's got a very evil-looking grin on his face right now. Do you see that?
I'm just
either that
enjoying listening to your
horribly
banter.
wrong, or the next question's going to be painful.
Just enjoying listening to your banter and double-checking the link that was sent with the question and seeing that it answers it matches the answer that was given, and enjoying listening to your friendly banter.
James and Vern always love when the questions come with the source material linked. It helps make their job a little easier, because one of the things that we try to do is, I'm saying it like it's me. One of the things that Vern and James do try to do is verify and kind of vet the questions before using them to make sure we're as accurate as possible. Sometimes it's hard because they're very obscure.
Well, we've found before when we've tried to like come up with stuff, like it's hard to find stuff we know is out there. Yeah.
All right. So with answers of 20,000 possibilities and 11,000 possibilities, we move on to your second question from listener Claire G. When you're on the Mark Twain riverboat or the sailing ship Columbia, you can see a log cabin on the back of Tom Sawyer Island. There's a sign out front of the log cabin.
Oh boy.
What does the sign say about who lives there and what they claim to be?
I just remember it was like the settler's cabin or something like that.
That's what it was originally.
Yeah, that's all I
remember the old spiel, because it was like, and there, a settler's cabin is on fire, because it used to actually be on fire.
That's the only thing I know it as. It's just a settler's cabin. It's not like a throwback to like the keel boats or something, like the Mark
Fink.
The Mark Fink keel boats. Maybe it's like Mark Fink. Maybe it's his cabin with his.
Yeah, sure. I'll go along with that.
But what's his title? Because you said there's a title, right? A person?
It says, what does the sign say about who lives there and what they claim to be?
Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh. The way he's worded that, I feel like, I don't know. What does it say about him and what he claims to be? Purveyor of boats. I don't know.
Yeah. Something to do with the water and boats.
Yeah.
Very generic.
See? We're not doing so well.
Okay. And who did you say that was?
Mark Fink.
Mark Fink. Purveyor of boats?
Something like that. Mark? See, I feel like Mike Fink. Mike Fink.
Mike Fink.
Yeah.
You like how I started at Mark Flynn?
Yeah, Mark. I know Fink is correct, but Mark did not sound right, so I think it's
Fink.
Mike.
All right. So you're changing from
Mike
Mark
Fink.
to Mike?
Oh, boy.
Are you sticking with Mark? Or you...
The M Fink lives there.
M Fink? Okay.
Then we're just good either
That's
way.
what we're sticking with.
Okay, so final answer.
Yeah.
Mike Fink, purveyor of boats or something about the river.
Sure.
This is terrible.
Okay. Your third listener submitted question from listener Jake M. Besides alcohol, you can't purchase these items in the park anymore.
Cigarettes. You've never been able to purchase them.
Well, I mean, technically, you could also say like bras.
Oh, that's true. Bras.
The Wizard of
and
Bras.
pianos. Pianos
Yeah?
used to be.
But I think cigarettes is
Cigarettes
is
for sure.
an answer.
Was it how many answers? Just one?
There are 4 provided.
Oh, well,
Oh, okay.
cigarettes. Yep.
Cigarettes,
Pianos, bras.
pianos, film.
You can still buy film.
You can?
Yeah, they just have it behind the counter.
They actually.
Because I was going to say film, and then I was like, no, I remember that like you can still buy film there if you want to. Did we need all 4, or do we just need 1?
Give me one more.
Then
Okay.
is there like with the cigarettes? Was there like lighters or matches?
Could
or
be.
did they just provide those? Maybe you didn't have to buy them.
That's a great question.
And is cigarettes and like cigars and pipe tobacco, like tobacco products? Is that just one product, like one thing?
Tobacco products. That's a good.
Yeah, we'll just say
catch-all.
tobacco products.
Okay, so you're generically saying tobacco products,
Yeah.
not cigarettes? Okay.
Because like that would be like pipe tobacco and.
What about
Sure.
stamps?
Could you buy stamps in the park?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I don't know.
I really thought film. I think I'm sticking with film.
I think film is still available in the park.
I'm sticking with film.
Okay.
What's your fourth?
Pianos.
Pianos,
weird
yeah,
one.
because the front, I can't remember what the shop's called off the top of my head here. You've got,
Talking about the music store,
no, in front of the music store.
the Disney Showcase.
Yes, the Disney Showcase. Used to be pianos. I mean, if
I can't
you don't
believe
wanna
that
go
I
with me
remember.
on
No,
pianos,
pianos
you
is
can-
fine. It's tobacco products for sure,
Bras for sure.
bras for sure, or like undergarments. If we just want to go generic there too, undergarments. I want to say like annoying things like they don't sell maps, like park maps anymore, like those nice ones that we liked, or they don't sell souvenir guidebooks anymore, or
Yeah.
like there's a lot of things, but I think he's talking about like categorical things and not just like specific things. I don't have a fourth thing. So
You're just doing bras, pianos, and tobacco products.
undergarments, tobacco products, and pianos, or maybe musical instruments. That covers everything.
Jeez,
Try to go.
we're sticking.
Broad.
We're okay. We're spinning out here, so we're
Yeah.
sticking with what we've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And Teresa added
Film.
film.
okay, so that was tobacco products, pianos, undergarments, film, and I missed one.
Nope.
Nope, that's
Pianos,
it.
bras. I'm
Well,
saying
undergarments.
specifically bras
Okay.
because I think like they might have stuff for like if little kids
Oh.
and
okay,
pianos,
bras.
tobacco products, and film are my 4. Tag is going with the first 3. No film.
Yeah. Because I still think they sell film. I mean, Kodak was still a sponsor up until not that long ago.
Okay, final answer.
Yeah.
All right. And your fourth and final regular round question from listener Andy M. Prior to having the backstory streamlined and fleshed out, pun intended, what was
Automatic.
Constance Hatchaway's original name in Exitensio's 1968/1969 Haunted Mansion script?
Was it the Black Widow Bride or the Beating Heart Bride?
When Constance became an animatronic, she replaced the Beating Heart Bride.
I'm gonna.
And Black Widow is just a nickname for her. She
Like
had
you're talking about like an actual person.
like
she
an actual
had
name.
a a humanish name
Human
before she became like a person. You know, like you would
something you would call somebody.
you would
like-
just introduce yourself as,
Yeah.
"Hi, my name is John Smith."
Yeah, you wouldn't say, hi, my name's Black Widow Bride.
Right.
Depends on how menacing you want to be.
I'm saying stumped. I feel like
Part
you
of
have
me's
to like
almost
defend your
wondering
honor
if
with this
it's
one.
like Sally, and then later it was Sally. Slater became the tightrope walker.
You can put down Sally.
I'm just gonna put down Sally because I don't know. I'm gonna give myself partial credit for Beating Heart and Black Widow.
I don't think you have the authority to do that, ma'am.
No, it was actually quite controversial when she replaced Beating Heart. I don't think you can give yourself partial credit for Beating Heart.
Ooh. Anyway.
Okay.
Final answer, I think, on that.
So we're going with Stumped and Sally.
Yep.
All right. And your bonus question tonight from listener Kavehi S. Which ride features a mustached Mona Lisa?
Oh, Pinocchio's Daring Adventure.
Yeah, because Teresa looks at it like every time now.
Mm-hmm.
And Tag, are you gonna?
Yes.
I was
Paint
trying
myself
to-
into that corner? Yes.
I was trying to come up with a pun on that one.
Hitch your donkey to my cart.
Yes. There
They
we
turn
go.
into
Thank you.
donkeys.
That too. That too.
All right. Final answer then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Well,
got one.
listeners, how did you do listening at home? How do you think Tag and Teresa did?
Not good.
Stick around until after the discussion and we can all find out together.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are speaking with Scott, who is on Instagram as the Disneyland Nurse and creator of Nurses Day at the Park. Welcome, Scott, to the show.
Hi, Teg and Teresa. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for having me today.
Thanks for being on. We're so excited to have you.
Mm-hmm. We are. So, Scott, I am so curious, but can you please tell us your Disney story? How did you get, be the super fan that you are today? And, what was your first introduction or your first memories of Disney?
Like Teg, I was raised in Northern California, and every summer my folks would take me to Disneyland, and we would enjoy the parks. This is when it was just Disneyland before DCA was open. It was a yearly thing. I was a millennial, so I grew up watching all the Renaissance movies, enjoyed those tremendously. Kind of phased out of Disney for high school and college, and then I met my current wife, who I found out was a huge Disney fan. And in 2016, I became an annual pass holder, and ever since then have retained a magic key. So that's my Disney story.
There you go.
That's a
Started
great story.
young, took a break, and then got sucked right back in. I love it.
That's right.
I feel like a lot of people do that. I'm in that thing. Out of curiosity, where in Northern California did you grow up?
So I was born in Fairfield, right outside the Bay Area, and then lived in a town called Modesto for about 4 or 5 years, and then moved out of state. So that's kind of why my Disneyland trips kind of phased out for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved back to Northern California later in life.
You were, I think, slightly closer to Disneyland than I was because we had to drive kind of over that way. So I think you had it a little bit easier, although it still took a little bit to get down there, but you're in the same state, so that's wonderful. Yeah. All right. When you go to Disneyland on the first day of a visit, which way do you go? So this is a two-part question we've turned it into. So do you go left towards Adventureland, through to Fantasyland, right to Tomorrowland, etc.? And which tunnel do you go through if you have a preference on tunnel under the train tracks?
Honestly, no preference of tunnel. We kind of gauge where the crowds are at the turnstiles, go to the shortest turnstile, and whatever side we're on, we go through that tunnel. As far as rides, since we go pretty often, we don't have a particular way that we go. But lately it's been towards Toontown, actually, towards Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, because we have a little one right now. But if I'm with my older kids, we probably beeline it back to Rise of the Resistance and Galaxy's Edge.
All the new stuff.
That's right.
Well, it's a good strategy, too. Start in the back, work your way back towards the front.
We do that for Oogie Boogie Bash, and it works great.
Absolutely.
So, Scott, what is your favorite attraction? So now, even though this is a Disneyland podcast, you can choose any Disney attraction worldwide.
Yeah, so I had to really think about this question. I'd say my favorite current Disney attraction is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. Just the amount of fun that it provides is, I think, top notch. The ride vehicle, the system that it's using with the Omnimover as a coaster is just incredible. The Imagineers, I think, went above and beyond with that ride. My favorite Disneyland attraction, I'm going to Disneyland tomorrow, hoping to get on Tiana's Bayou Adventure for the Magic Key preview. So I hope that's going to be my new favorite attraction. But currently, I would have to say Haunted Mansion is my favorite. Just it's the original. It's not based on any IP, so I would say Mansion in its original form, not holiday, but original.
Are you looking forward to the extended queue opening up hopefully soon?
I am. Yeah, I think from the concept art, it looks beautiful, and I can't wait. I think that whole area will be great. It looks like they're going to have an area where entertainment can come back, and that's definitely needed, I think, in New Orleans Square right now. So looking for the shop to open as well. Yeah, so I am really anticipating that opening up next year.
So as a fellow Mansion fan, I'm always curious, what are your thoughts on the two films? Because, right, Mansion was original, and then they kind of turned it into an IP when they created the first film, which we don't need to talk about, and then the more current film. What were your thoughts? And, like, as a fan, how did you feel?
You better be careful. He might say that the original film was amazing.
Maybe the original's his favorite. Yeah, the Eddie Murphy version, maybe. But
yeah, I think the Eddie Murphy version has its place. It's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are parts of Haunted Mansion that are kind of, silly. The newer movie became a little bit more serious, but I think hopefully in the future, maybe we can get that Guillermo del Toro version where it's a little more spooky. And yeah, so I don't have a problem with either film. It's just, I do like the newer version more than the Eddie Murphy version, however.
I think the thing that sold the newer one for me was all of the tie-ins. There felt like so many Easter eggs.
Yeah,
in that
definitely.
One. There was a couple in the Eddie Murphy version, but just not the same volume.
Right.
All right. Well, Scott, so you are like a busy guy. So first of all, your Instagram handle is not talking about a nurse just because that's a thing. No, you actually are a nurse in real life, and you have this massive Instagram following, and you're constantly going to the parks. You're going again tomorrow. So how do you balance all of these things?
It's all about time management. Whenever I have new nurses kind of working under me, I always tell them that time management is probably the most important thing when it comes to being a nurse. You have to manage your time to be effective. So I use those skills in my everyday life to kind of manage, work, life, social media, and then Nurses Day at the park. So
that's crazy.
It's incredible. So what kind of, take us back to the beginning. What made you think to start, an Instagram page dedicated to like your love of Disney and specifically Disneyland?
So it was never intended to be like, to become what it was. It was just me. Like I said, I became a annual pass holder in 2016. We would go to the parks, once or twice a month, and I would snap photos, and it just kind of grew out of that. It was never intended to be anything more than what it is. But it seems like the nursing community and the Disney community at large kind of connected with my content, and it grew. And yeah, it just spawned out of my love for Disney.
I think like being a follower, I think you can definitely see that it's, your content's genuine. You don't, just kind of say everything's wonderful, and you don't also say everything's terrible. You're very level-headed when you're talking about stuff. You can tell you've got a passion, but you also are like, maybe not that. So I think that's wonderful. It's very refreshing. I'm always just like shocked because, right, we do the podcast. That's something different but I'm like, how much time does he spend? So much time, because it's just so well done.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we, as Disney fans, we balance our love for the company and our criticisms. Like, I think you guys do a wonderful job of that as well on the podcast. You are passionate about something, but you're also a consumer. You're paying a lot of money to do these things, and you expect the most out of what you're paying for. So that's kind of my perspective on things. It's great to sugarcoat and say everything's awesome all the time, but I think we also need a perspective where we see things for what they are.
Before we get too far from this, I do want to just mention that Scott is not a nurse at Disneyland, which is what I thought he was at first. And I was like, so when Teresa was mentioning your account, Disneyland nurse said this and Disneyland nurse said that. And I said, is this person like a nurse at Disney? Is that how he's got so much? Because it seems like you're like on the ball, right? Like when things get announced, like bam, like and it's interesting because on social media, we see it like stuff could be just announced and it's like everywhere already. And it's like, how do people, and you're usually one of the, I don't know if I'd say primary source, but like you're usually one of the first places we see that information. So it's like, how do you do this?
Yeah, with social media, things spread like wildfire nowadays. Yes. So once somebody posts it, everybody's got to do the same. So.
Because it's like Gothic Rosie too. It's like she always seems to be the first person that has like all the details about everything, and I'm like, how do you have to, like, we try very hard to stay on top of things, but even we miss things sometimes. I'm just like, how do these people do it? And
I think it's a love and a passion for the parks, and so you just are plugged in because you're so curious. And then when you've got a platform, you're like, well, I want to let everyone else know whatever the thing is, good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I don't feel like I have me personally, I just feel like there's obviously a lot of work and love that goes into it. And I have that for other things, like the podcast. I have a thing for the podcast, but like it's different, like social media. I don't know. I guess I'm one of those generations that social media is just like, to be good at it, you have to put some effort into it. And I'm just like, that's not what I want to put my time into. But anyway.
So, Scott, since you visit the park so frequently and have had numerous like Disney bucket list experiences, can you share maybe some of your favorite memories or favorite experiences that you've had at the parks?
Oh, goodness. There's so many. But I mean, probably the first Nurse's Day at the park is probably my number one memory. Just being able to bring so many people together in that setting after the pandemic, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, is probably my biggest memory. But specifically, I would say going to 21 Royal is probably one of the most memorable nights that I've had at the parks. It was just special being in that space that was created by Walt and having just an amazing meal with some wonderful people. Other memories, like holding my son's hand, walking through Toontown when it's Pluto on one side and me on the other.
Oh.
Memories like that, just bringing family together.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some of my best memories. And then we usually try and take a trip to Aulani every year. And for whatever reason, there is something so special about Aulani that I'd say Disneyland doesn't even have. The cast members are like beyond top notch. And
wow.
I highly recommend anybody who is thinking about a trip out there go, because it's just a special place.
It looks gorgeous.
Now I have to stop and go back here for a second. So 21 Royal. Tell us about this experience, because we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but not a lot, other than like, we've talked about the price and like the idea of it, but like, what is that? Just tell us about it.
As someone who experienced it, what was it? What was it like?
So if your listeners are unfamiliar with 21 Royal, basically it's the space above Pirates of the Caribbean. They have meals there. I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. The cost, I believe it's of $15,000 now, and you can have a group of 12 people. You're invited up into this space. First, they pick you up at the Grand Californian. They drive you around the backside of Disneyland, like behind like Galaxy's Edge, into New Orleans Square. You get to walk over the train tracks, which was pretty magical. And then
cool.
And then they lead you up the stairs to 21 Royal. It's a 3-course meal. I want to say, I think it was either 3 or 5. Anyways, it's like a 5-hour experience. Wow. All your drinks are provided. All your meals are provided. There's 2 different rooms where you can lay on the bed if you want. You can take all the photos you want. You can sit in the bathtub. This is the space that used to be the Disney Gallery, for anybody who is familiar with that. And it's just, the service in there is obviously top notch. So definitely, if you ever have the chance to experience 21 Royal, I would check it out for sure. Just one of those nights where you feel like you are Disney royalty.
Now I could be thinking of something else, but like, when you book the situation, like, do you get to talk with the chef and do they cater something, or is it just like whatever the menu is that night? Because I feel like I remember something about that, but maybe I'm thinking of something else.
No, so there is a dedicated menu for the night, but if you have like allergies or if you're gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, so they will accommodate your meals. But there is a specific menu for the night.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss it being the gallery, because I remember one of the last times I was in there and it was the gallery. The person behind the counter, like if you asked, which I didn't even know you could ask, but somebody was like, "Do you want a tour?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it was like, this was going to be Walt's new apartment
Mhm.
that was
Like
bigger
family
and
apartment.
placed to kind of, dignitaries and stuff that's better than the firehouse. And like this would have been his room, and this was like the dining room, and this was that, and this was that. And it was just like, wow. And then when they closed it and it became the Dream Suite first, I was like, well, that sucks. And at least now I know it's expensive, but at least it's still like people have the opportunity to experience the space as opposed to the Dream Suite, which was like during a year of a million dreams where like you had to get like picked, or then like there was all these other promotion things.
Mhm.
But anyway, well, how cool that you got to experience that. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely a once in a lifetime thing. So
Yeah.
Incredible. So let's kind of shift gears and let's start talking about Nurses Day at the park, which is coming up. I can see on Instagram that you are in full swing of planning it, but can you maybe start with like the origins? Like what kind of made this event come to mind and make you want to start hosting this really awesome way to celebrate nurses?
yeah, sure. If you guys are familiar, there's an event called Dapper Day at the parks that happens twice a year, I think in the spring and the fall. And we had attended a couple of those and really enjoyed the camaraderie of that experience. Everybody gets dressed up in a fancy way and you experience that. So really enjoyed that. And then the pandemic hit, as we all know, in 2020. Disneyland was closed for a little over a year. And I just wanted to do something to say thank you to all the nurses and anybody in the medical field for, all their hard work during COVID. And I wanted to, have a day where they can all celebrate their hard work at Disneyland. So that was kind of where it came from.
That's so cool. So can you kind of talk through the process of how do you even go about saying, I have this awesome idea and make it happen like plan one of these unofficial events at the happiest place on earth?
Well, like you guys said, I am fortunate enough to have this following base. And I think a lot of them are probably nurses. I don't know the percentage, obviously. So it was just through social media where I was able to get the word out. I created another Instagram page, which is Nurses Day at the Park. And I had people able to kind of transition from my page over to that page where I could provide the information. So it was really basically because of the following that I had. I couldn't imagine trying to plan something like that without having kind of a base of people. So that was the way that it started.
Yeah, getting the word out is probably one of the most challenging parts. But now, like, word has spread because if you look at so this will be the 4th year, correct?
Yes, this will be 2025 will be the 4th year.
Yeah, just looking at the first year, the second year, and the third year, the group castle photo and just how much this event has just exploded. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a way that we can say how many people have attended the event. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
We have a registration page where people can register, but who's to say that they're coming? But from what I gather, it looks like it's from the castle photos as you see, it looks like the event's kind of doubled in size every year. Yeah, it's just definitely thankful for everybody who has supported the event.
The other thing that's really neat is that you've partnered with different small businesses to do fun like t-shirts. And this year the last couple of times there's been ears and buttons and there's a different theme every year. So can you kind of talk through, well, first, how do you decide what theme? Because there's so many amazing different things that you could theme Disney wise. And how do you kind of like the logo process, all that whole side of it too?
Sure. Yeah, so each year, as you mentioned, we've had a different theme. I've been just basing it off different lands in the park, in Disneyland specifically. So the first year we did Sleeping Beauty's castle, so kind of Fantasyland. Our t-shirts was the castle. And then the next year was Frontierland. This year, 2024, was Galaxy's Edge. And then next year is New Orleans Square with an emphasis on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Like this year, I kind of, since the event was close to May the 4th, I wanted it to be, Star Wars themed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I did it this year. And then next year, because Tiana's Bayou Adventure is opening up next month, I wanted that to kind of be the theme for next year. But I do have a wonderful woman named Eva. She does my graphic designs every year. Just kind of throw an idea out to her and she comes back. We just kind of go back and forth. And then she'll come up with the final logo. And then that logo is used on our shirts for the year. So And then, like you said, we do have several small businesses that I've partnered with to make ears specific for the day. I have a woman named Claudia who she has donated this past year. She donated 1,000 buttons to be handed out to all the guests. So I'm just very lucky to have such incredible people that have supported my event.
I am looking at the Nurses Day at the Park Instagram account as you're talking about this stuff. I'm a visual person. I like to see stuff. So when we talk about like locations, I pull up Google Maps. We're talking about stuff that has happened. You've posted it here. These ears for this upcoming one look amazing. These, you would buy these like in the park.
They're gorgeous.
They look like professional park ears.
Yeah.
And they're gorgeous.
I have a story about how I met the ear maker. So I was on a flight by myself to Walt Disney World, flying out of Sacramento to Orlando. And I was actually going out there to do the Galactic Star Cruiser when it was open. Anyways, a gentleman sat next to me on the plane. We got to chit-chatting. And lo and behold, I find out that he lives in Sacramento and his wife makes custom ears. So her name is Andrea, and her Instagram handle, you should go check them out. It's Isn't It Neat Boutique. And ever since, she's been the one to create the ears for the day. And yeah, she does a fabulous job. And it's just, they're beautiful this year. As you can see, the stethoscope is tied in with the lily pads.
Yeah. That's
she did
cool.
just an amazing job.
Wow. We've had a lot of different creative people on. We've had designer Parkco, who like this woman, Debbie, like she was like, nothing is going to stop me and I'm going to come up with this thing. And it was amazing.
I'm going to create this awesome bag.
We had Where in the Park people that create the scavenger hunt stuff. Like it all just came out of their brain and they made this thing happen. And I'm looking at these ears. She has other ears for other things too, that these look
They're
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Where in
meeting.
Yeah, really. Speaking of Where in the Park, because of you guys and you're talking about them on the podcast, I actually had them do a scavenger hunt for Nurses Day this past year. It was specific for our event,
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That was awesome. Yeah, it was a great partnership, and hope to have them again next year.
Oh, I love that. So it wasn't just one of the normal kits. They did one specific.
No, they did one specific for Nurses
awesome.
Day because it was Galaxy's Edge theme. I think most of the questions revolved around Galaxy's Edge. It was kind of like a mini scavenger hunt because we had limited time.
This is so cool. I don't know. I'm sorry. I need to close that. I'm just looking at the stuff that she's done, and I'm like, this stuff is amazing.
He's still stuck on the ears.
They look like ears that you would be like, I need these.
They're gorgeous.
She does a wonderful job, and they're very reasonably priced too. So
that's like amazing. Like what Tag was saying, there's all these small shop owners that are just people that have these ideas and they just make them happen. Same like with Where in the Park. I mean, come on, how brilliant to make scavenger hunts in the places that we love visiting. It's obvious they've branched out to be more than just Disney parks, but like, hello, like, yeah, that's brilliant. But I didn't think of that.
That is crazy.
To be able to think, and same thing with you, to be able to have these ideas and then make them a reality. I mean, I'm sure lots of people thought like, oh, it'd be really fun to have this theme day, unofficial theme day thing. And then, that's kind of as far as it goes. But then to actually have the motivation and the dedication to make it a reality is just amazing.
Yeah, I've actually had somebody recently ask me how to start a teacher's day at the park, or teacher appreciation day. So I was trying to give them tips and tricks and how to go about it. So
I was just going to ask, when you came up with this idea, what was the process from this would be a cool thing to do to doing it? Like, did you have to contact
Step 1,
Disney?
Get the word out.
Right.
Step 2.
Yeah. Like, did you contact Disney, or did you just do it like, or was it just like, surprise, a bunch of nurses are here?
So that first year it was kind of like surprise, a bunch of nurses are here. But then we have become a little bit too big. So we have to let Disney know that we're coming.
Did they tell you that? Like, did they say, next time will you let us know?
Well, not necessarily that, but so each night before Nurses Day, I do a bunch of giveaways where people were meeting me. I would hand out goodie bags. And we were doing that at Trader Sam's, where the the seating area by the fireplace was.
Yeah.
So we did that the first 2 years. And then this year we got a notice from Disney saying, "We hear you're coming over there. We know how big your crowd is going to be. We will politely ask you to go somewhere else." So thankfully, had a meeting with Disney and we were able to move over to the Adventureland lawn.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you used that space for your wedding.
I did. That was where we got married, was that little gazebo there.
Yeah, so they did not charge us, thankfully. They were very
that's
kind.
awesome.
So this year we were able to use that huge space to pass out our goodie bags, and Where in the Park was there to promote their business as well. So we're thinking about moving that night before into one of the meeting spaces, probably within the Grand Californian this year, so we don't anger the Disney god, so to speak.
That's so cool, though, because, you know, your event, obviously, from the pictures, we'll link your all your Instagram accounts in the show notes for people to see this. But Teresa showed me this last night because we did our live streams the day before we're recording this interview, and Teresa showed me the crowds, and I was like, okay, they've been doing gay days for like ever, and this is a bigger crowd from the photo than gay days is, which is like, and it's only been 3 years. Wow. So like, it's just amazing because I know they had to go through a lot of stuff because they have stuff at the hotel and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of gay days, I actually reached out to the creator of that event because they utilized the omnibus for their castle photo this year. And that's not something that we had. And I was trying to get information from them how we would go about doing that. And he said it was just a whole bunch of hoops that they had to go through to make that happen. So,
but it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. So fingers crossed that we can do it this year.
Does it seem like Disney, like they kind of want to be looped in just like legit, so they like are prepared logistically, like they don't want to impact the other people, obviously the other guests that are there.
Absolutely. That was another thing that I had the meeting with Disney this year, was because every year I put out a schedule of events, and the time that I had originally scheduled the castle photo for was going to conflict with, the characters come out of the castle around midday where the band comes out. So we had to schedule it around that to make it happen. Makes sense. That's another reason that we can't just have 2,000 nurses show up in front of the castle at once, and then they're not going to be okay with that. So
right. Nope, that makes sense. And that's one of the things, like, that you as the planner, you don't necessarily know when all those other things are happening when you're putting this plan out months and months in advance.
Well, and Disney doesn't tell everybody what the schedule is going to be months in advance either.
Yeah, Disney doesn't know the schedule a month in advance, it seems, because there's always, we have like Pixar Fest, we have the 100th anniversary, there's new parades, new shows, new this and that. So their schedule is always in flux. In fact, we did like finalize this past year's schedule until like 2 weeks prior to the event because I think they didn't really know what was going on.
Right. To make sure that everything was going to line up perfectly. Wow.
And it's like they have to talk to one person, they've got to talk to one person, they've got to talk to another person. So it's complicated for sure.
Sounds like it. So for those of us that have not attended a Nurses Day, what are some of the things that people can look forward to for the day of celebration?
The day of, yeah. So like I said, the night before we have been doing giveaways, and then we've been doing the same thing in the morning from about 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we pass out goodie bags. We have a lot of other small shops who have been very gracious and donated a lot of their, like badge reels, buttons, stickers, a lot of gift cards. So I've been passing out goodie bags. We take pictures together over at the Adventureland lawn. I have people sign a guest book.
That's cool.
And then we move on into the park. I have an itinerary or schedule of events. The first thing usually is we do a group ride on the Mark Twain, and then we'll have lunch at a certain spot. Like this past year was, I think, Docking Bay 7, where people could grab food. Then we did the castle photo. We watched the parade, Magic Happen parade together. And then in the evening, I want to say it was 6 or 7, we did a group photo back by the Millennium Falcon. Everybody brought their lightsaber, and we did another group photo. So it's just a day where, nurses can get together and have a great fun day at Disneyland.
Judging by the photo, what was like, was the Mark Twain all nurses?
Yeah, did you fill the Mark Twain?
That
we
is
did.
so cool.
We filled it to capacity. Like, I think there were folks who weren't able to get on because so maybe next year we'll have to do 2 rides around the rivers of America.
That's so cool,
that's
though.
very cool.
I'd love to be there and be on the shore
riverbank side?
as the Mark Twain full of nurses goes by. That would be so cool. And nurses are some of the coolest people too. And so I feel like being in the park on one of these days, even if you're not a nurse, like, would just be so cool.
It is. It's like, like I said, it's just a sense of camaraderie. And I mean, when you're all passionate about the same thing, it's a great day.
Everybody can share their war stories.
Yeah. It's a good way for people to network, because a lot of nursing is about networking, so that's another benefit of the day, I would say.
I mean,
That's cool.
Networking events at Disneyland, 100%. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Absolutely.
So so we don't know the exact number, but it's huge, of how many people go. Have you kind of gotten an idea or a sense of how far people are traveling to come join Nurses Day? Obviously, Californians, I'm sure there's like Arizonans and Nevadans.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I have people sign a guest book, so I have them write where they come from. So I've had a bunch of people come from Hawaii, Rhode Island, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, all the West Coast states.
Yeah. Rhode Island, though. Wow.
I think the first year or the second year, we actually had a woman come from like Taiwan or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Incredible. But I think she was visiting. She was a nurse, but she was visiting somebody who lives here, and she came. So yeah, it's folks from all over the country, which, I mean, to come to my event, that means a lot to me. Like, obviously that means enough to them to spend all this money to travel, thousands of miles to get to my event. It really just touches me.
Well, it's a good event if they're willing to do all that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to downplay anything you've done, but it's also Disneyland. I mean,
it's pretty easy to get them to come out to Disneyland. I mean,
not to belittle you, because
to be a great host.
Teresa and I have made a list of events at Disneyland that we haven't attended yet, and like Dapper Day is on there, Nurses Day is on there. So like, we eventually will be at one of these.
As supporters, we are not nurses in real life.
No, you don't want me trying to take blood or do whatever, do all the stuff that nurses do, which I would also just like to say, and everybody who's a nurse listening to this knows this, but like James and I commented on this because my mom was in the hospital not too long ago, that like, people always, the doctors get all the like glamour, but the nurses are the ones who are actually doing everything. So nurses, I don't think, get enough credit.
No, they don't.
We love our doctors, though.
I'm sure. But nurses do a lot of work, and I think sometimes they get overlooked.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Same thing with the
CNAs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in the trenches with us, too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, gosh. I'm just looking at, like, I'm so over, like, it's amazing that you've been able to do this over the last few years, and that you have so many cool things, and people have jumped in, like the partnerships you've made with the different companies and stuff to do all of this. It's just amazing and like overwhelming. Like, I'm learning about all of this now, because I don't follow you as closely as Teresa does on social media. So I'm just like, this is all new to me. This is awesome.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention is we've also partnered with Disney to do a room block at all 3 hotels.
Oh, wow.
So we have a room block at the Grand, Disneyland Hotel, and Pixar Place Hotel. So the rates are definitely a lot lower than they would be if you were just to book direct through Disney. In fact,
that's awesome.
We've already sold out of the Grand, so there are rooms available at the Disneyland Hotel and Pixar Place. If anybody's interested, you don't even have to be attending Nurses Day, but if you want a great rate, I have the link on my Nurses Day at the Park Instagram page for people who are interested in booking. And we also have, on that same link, there are discounted Disneyland tickets. So I think the tickets you can get for $17 off for a single day ticket.
Nice.
Around Nurses Day, which is a huge saving. As you guys know, the ticket prices have just gone up again. So any kind of savings at Disney is a good thing.
Yes. No, exactly.
I don't think we've talked about when is the next Nurses Day.
Yes. So Nurses Day at the
Good
Park
call.
2025 is on Wednesday, April 2nd. The reason I did it in the midweek, because we are nurses, because most nurses have, really great schedule flexibility. A lot of us only work 3 days a week. I personally work 3 days a week. I work 12-hour shifts. So we can kind of, have that flexibility built into our schedule. I wanted to do it on a day where all Magic Keys were also available to people
Smart.
who had what's the lowest key? Not even the enchant, the one that's geared towards
Inspire? Or is that up?
Is it imagine?
Maybe it's
That
imagine.
could be it.
Imagine. But anyways, yeah, all
Fake
Magic
fans
Keys
here.
can come that day. Usually tickets are a little bit cheaper in the middle of the week. So I wanted to do it in the middle of the week. And it seems, people still come. I've been doing it on Thursdays. So we adjusted it a little bit to a Wednesday this coming year.
And with people traveling, you can then travel and have your flights on weekdays, which also might be a savings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is true.
So with the event, do people bring their families, or is it just kind of just like the nurses themselves, or is it kind of a family, like a family celebration of nurses too?
Yeah, it varies. This day is not just for nurses. It's for any medical professional. It's for anybody who has been affected by a nurse. It's for anybody who support nurses. So yeah, it's a family event. I will be bringing my family next year. Yeah, it's a good time. Come on down to the Bayou and celebrate with us at the event. So
we need to give a shout out. I know we mentioned it earlier, but the person that I have forgotten her name already. I apologize. That helps with doing the logo designs. Amazing. Every year, I feel like it just gets better and better each time I see what the new logo design is for Nurses Day at the park. It's just amazing.
Yeah, her name is Eva, and her Instagram handle is Eva Linda Alvarez. She is actually just somebody who reached out to me and asked if she could help with the logo.
That's so fun.
It just kind of worked out. It was a match made in heaven, so to speak. And she does a great job.
It's like the ears. It was just like right time, right place.
Yeah, totally.
So what do you foresee for the future of Nurses Day? Do you kind of have, are you just seeing where it goes, or do you have a plan in mind, or just happy to have it?
Yeah, just happy to have it. I have always thought about getting sponsorships from medical companies and using that money to provide scholarships for underprivileged people who want to go into the nursing field. That's kind of my dream scenario. My account is, it's nice to have followers and all that, but it's all about giving back to the community that's brought me to where I am, so to speak. So that's my ultimate goal, is to get sponsors for Nurses Day and to give back to, people who might need the money to move forward with the nursing career.
That's awesome.
Do you, by the way, do you do this all yourself?
Yes, I do. My father has just come on board this year to help me with the Disney room block. In fact, he got his travel agent license this year, so he could help me, just to kind of keep it all in the family. I do have friends and family who have volunteered to help out during this past year at the Adventureland lawn when we passed out all the goodies. I do need extra hands, obviously, to kind of guide people around because we had a bunch of different stations that they would go to. So I do have awesome friends that have helped me, but yeah, I'm the one who coordinates everything. I'm the one who talks to Disney. I'm the one who plans, does the schedule of events. So yeah, it's me.
Wow.
The other thing I want to mention, I know you guys have talked about Chalk Walk, and the last couple of years, I have created the Nurses Day at the Park Chalk Walk team.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
We have raised over $50,000 for Chalk in these last 2 years. So if anybody would love to join us for the Chalk Walk next year, we don't know when the date is, but you're more than welcome to join an awesome team of nurses and give back to Chalk.
That's incredible.
The Chalk Walk's also on our list of something we want to do eventually.
There's just so many amazing things happening at the parks.
Yeah.
And just not enough time for these Midwesterners to get over there.
Teresa wants to like move closer so she can
Yeah.
more easily just hop on in for these things where it's a little bit harder for us.
See, I need to be like Scott, where I'm like an hour plane ride away. Because then it's not
you need to
too
not even
close.
be a plane ride away because like there's plane
just
things
live
in
there.
general. You should be within like 2 to 3 hours driving distance. That would make it
There
easier.
you go.
I did see somebody comment this so on one of your posts, so I figure might as well ask on our podcast. Any thoughts of bringing this to Walt Disney World?
Oh.
I mean,
Not
you'd
right
probably
now.
have to you'd probably have to have someone help you and not
Yeah, I
just
would
do it
have-
yourself, but
I think I would have to clone myself, or like you said,
Yeah.
have somebody do it because living 400 miles from Disneyland, it's already tough to kind of coordinate some of the things, but I can't foresee living across the country and doing it. But maybe one day, just it's not now is not a good time. So
Yeah.
Well, and I was just thinking, like, Disneyland is already its own monster, right? But World is like, I don't know how you could try and keep everybody on a schedule. Like, it'd be easy at Disneyland to have everybody in the park kind of doing their own thing, but also still bumping into each other. You could never see anybody if you didn't, you could be doing your own
well, you could
thing.
just do it
and,
at Magic. You could just do it at Magic Kingdom,
that's
though,
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
or Epcot, or pick
That's
a park.
true. But I'm thinking, like, you could be like miles away from each other
That's true.
and still be on property there.
That's true.
There you go. You could do a cruise next.
Oh gosh,
A Nurses
I mean,
Day cruise.
there's I don't know if you've heard of Nurse Blake, but he's like this big nurse influencer. He actually does a nurse cruise. So, but maybe we need to do like a Disney cruise line
there you go.
nurses event. I haven't ever been on a Disney cruise, so that's one of my bucket list things. I hear wonderful things from you guys. So
Mhm.
I'm a convert. I didn't think I would be, but here I am.
Yeah.
Although I haven't been on the newer ships, I am skeptical of the newer ships, but we'll see. We'll see.
You don't
We'll
have
see.
to go. You can stay on the older classic ones if you want. There's plenty of ships to
but
choose
like
from.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, but yeah, you should. I mean, that would be really cool. You should, in general, get on a Disney cruise at some point. That
Mhm.
it is a great experience, and if you like Disney stuff, I mean, I see on your Instagram page that you're also a DVC owner, so it's like you've experienced all of the different, Disney kind of things. The cruise line is going to be the next thing.
well, I'm actually taking my first international Disney park trip next year. We're going to Japan, so
That'll be incredible.
actually it's like 2 weeks after Nurses Day. We're going for Star Wars Celebration is in
Oh, yeah.
Tokyo next April, so we're obviously going to do the Disney parks when we're there. So
are you a
looking
big
forward to that.
Perfect.
Star Wars nerd too? I'm guessing.
I'm not a big nerd, but I had so much fun at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim a couple years ago that I just thought, why not?
Yeah,
You know.
why not? And then it's an excuse to be in Japan too. Not like
Exactly.
you need one, but
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Well, we had so much fun talking to Scott about Nurses Day, and we wanted to get some more information about some of the other cool experiences he's had and just his thoughts on a bunch of Disney stuff. So we will have that discussion next week. Well, if you enjoy listening to the show, please consider rating and reviewing the show on your podcast app. It helps other Disney fans become weekly tiers and part of the community.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we're going to find out the answers to tonight's questions and see how Tag and Teresa did, and find out how you did listening at home.
Well,
or in your car or at work or wherever you listen.
it's always promising on what we got right when the intro back into Trivia Land is that Vern's going to tell us the right answer.
Yep.
We were bad. I am like
We don't know we're bad.
kicking myself that I couldn't remember Mike Fink
That's okay.
for the keel boats.
Well, let's get the answers. I'm curious.
This is the beauty of
Don't know the
listener
name of the
submitted
bride.
questions. They come up with some really good ones, and listeners, James and I appreciate you. You are far smarter than we are, and you come up with great questions, and and you are the heart and soul of Trivia Land. All right, let's get to it.
You guys do all the work, and they just read it.
Pretty much. Your first listener submitted question from listener Paige N. According to the Disney food blog, how many different adventures are there on Star Tours? Tag said 20,000 different possible adventures, and Teresa said 11,000 different adventures. The answer that I was looking for was 250.
Oh man!
Well, we went a little.
Yeah, we went a little. We were a little too far in space there.
Yes. Your second listener submitted question from listener Claire G. When on the Mark Twain riverboat or the sailing ship Columbia, you can see a log cabin on the back of Tom Sawyer Island. There is a sign in front of this log cabin. What does the sign say about who lives there and what they claim to be? You said that it's Mike Fink, the purveyor of boats, or something about the river.
Waterways. Something.
Yes. The correct answer that I was looking for was Mike Fink, King of the River.
Ooh.
Yeah, something water related.
Something water related.
Yep. And Teresa, you were correct. It is a throwback to the Mike Fink keelboat tours. And there was a race where you were determined to be the king of the river, and Mike Fink was the king. And so they left that sign out as a homage.
Boom. I missed those. I don't remember ever going on those, but I swear that those were going when I went there.
Say that again?
What, the sign being an homage to Mike Fink? I might be... Oh, it's been half an hour since I actually read that. Hold on. Might not have been boats or races, but... Yeah, he was a real guy on the Ohio and Mississippi rivers.
Oh.
That's cool.
They were based on 2 episodes of the Davy Crockett miniseries, Davy Crockett's Keelboat Race.
Thank you. Like, I know
The
I
ride
saw a
was
race
named
somewhere.
After Mike Fink, the, quote, king of the river, who lost the keelboat race.
Oh, he lost. Sorry.
Yep, he lost. So it was based on the miniseries of Davy Crockett. Interesting. So he wasn't a real guy. He was a fictional guy, but he did lose a race.
Yep. All right, your third regular round question from listener Jake M. Other than alcohol, you can't purchase these items in the park anymore.
Ooh, I'm excited for this one.
You said tobacco products, pianos, undergarments, specifically bras, and film. Which led me into a rabbit hole of trying to look up those answers and see if and when you could ever buy them in the parks. And the answer that was provided and we were looking for was McDonald's French fries.
Oh, yeah.
Tobacco products, toy guns, which you used to be able to buy around the corner from the saloon, and chewing gum.
I didn't think you could ever
I didn't think you could ever buy chewing gum.
Apparently you used to be able to.
According to that.
Yeah.
Well, I will put on record that pianos and bras
Well, so
were also there.
I started looking up pianos, and I found the shop, but I can't find any record of them actually selling the pianos and organs, just that they treated guests to concerts every day, and they had them there. And I mean, this is just in 5 minutes of snooping around online, so if anybody knows anything about selling pianos or bras at the parks, please send us more information, because we're intrigued. And your fourth and final regular round question from listener Andy M. Prior to having the backstories streamlined and fleshed out, pun intended, what was Constance Hatchaway's original name in Exentencio's 1968-1969 Haunted Mansion script? Tag said Stumped, and Teresa said Sally.
That was my guess.
The correct name that we were looking for was Abigail Patecleaver.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever heard that name before.
I don't know. I don't think I have either.
I hadn't either, but I was able to verify a couple
Sweet.
different sources. Yep, that was the original backstory of the cutting off the heads and all of that. She was Abigail Patecleaver before she became Constance.
Love it.
I want to flip back to the what can you no longer purchase.
Sure.
So from all of my quick little researching, and of course, listeners, you are welcome to do a deep dive and let us know for sure. It looks like it may have just been a showroom floor to showcase the pianos and organs with the little daily concerts. And there was a partnership between Wurlitzer and Disney. And so Wurlitzer provided and had their instruments in different places, like Golden Horseshoe. It sounds like the organ for the carousel was a Wurlitzer. Anyways, so it was like a synergy thing. It necessarily wasn't a retail space. I thought there was a showroom that you could then also, or like you could purchase and order them. Obviously, you weren't going to pick it up and leave with it right there at the park.
Yeah.
But it sounds like maybe it was just a showroom.
That's cool.
I feel like I need to do a little bit more digging on this. This is so interesting.
And that's the same thing that I was able to find, was just that it was a showroom and that they had the contract to provide all of the pianos and organs for the park in all of the venues and whatnot. So, because when you said that you couldn't buy pianos anymore, I was like, I immediately pictured somebody just walking through the gate with a piano strapped to their back.
Right.
And it was a very funny picture in my head, even though I knew that wasn't what you meant. But it still was just the hilarious image in my head that I immediately had to look that one up. I'm still going to look up undergarments. I'm intrigued by that one as well.
There was
Wizard of Bras.
Yep, there was a bra shop on Main Street.
What's interesting about the piano thing, Vern, is I wasn't thinking that they would be people like would carry them out. I thought it'd be like you'd come in, see it, and then order it, and like they deliver it to your house.
Sure, and that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It's just not what my silly imagination came up with.
That's fair.
Listeners, let me know if I'm alone on this one.
That's fair.
All right, and your bonus question tonight from listener Kavei S. Which ride features a mustachioed Mona Lisa? Both of you immediately saying Pinocchio's Daring Journey. The correct answer that we were looking for there was Pinocchio's Daring Journey.
Woo!
Yay!
We got something.
So, listeners, how do you think Tag and Teresa did? How did you do listening at home? Do you have some great question that's going to really stump them in the future? If you've got that perfect question and you'd like to hear it live on the air or in streaming on the podcast, however that should actually be said, feel free to send that in to us at dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.